Welcome to God is Open. I'm your host, Christopher Fisher, and today on God is Open, we're doing a post-debate review, and we got the gentlemen themselves, both Drew Mack and the Twitchy Theologian. Twitchy Theologian, what do you go by usually? Do people just call you Twitchy?
People usually call me Twitchy, but you can call me Jerry, Twitchy, it don't matter.
Yeah, so I was like seeing Jerry in the comments. I'm all confused. I'm like, I don't see a Jerry that anyone's interacting with. I just, I'm like, oh yes, that is Twitchy. That's just another name.
Jerry's my middle name. Some people call me DJ.
DJ, yeah. Okay,
DJ
so we just had a debate. It was if the Bible teaches determinism, and Twitchy, you said it does. And Drew, you said it doesn't. And
Jerry changed the debate topic on the slides. It said,
I'm sorry.
It's biblical.
I forgot, bro. I'm not a smart man.
No, that's probably a very good strategy for a debate. You just change it up in your opening. Just change what the entire debate's. You're like, I thought we were here to debate dispensationalism.
Hey, Matt Slick did that to me once. He was like, total depravity. I thought we were here talking about our favorite type of cheesecake. Like, no, we're debating total depravity. What are you doing?
That is a debate strategy. And so I don't know how effective it is.
Debate strategy.
Okay, so Drew, we'll start with you. How do you think the debate went? Okay, let's put yourself in the shoes of a third party looking inward. What would they come away thinking about the debate?
Well, my wife asked me how I thought it went, and I just gave her a passing comment as she was getting into bed just then. And I think it was mostly a stalemate from my perspective. I think that probably people would think that we were too nice to one another and we didn't like really press and kind of like, go for the zingers. And, I think I had one line, Jerry, that you messaged me about when I said something about, what was it? Oh, like if God changes his mind, then I will be afraid and sad. And that was like one of the only real polemic things that I said. But yeah, I mean, I think what you said backstage, Eric, Eric, gosh, look at this. Oh, freaking heck. It's 1 a.m. here. Chris.
You forgot what show you were on, bro.
Is that the rebuttal, I think I struggled just to keep track of things.
Right. I was kind of noticing that. And then your long pause right before the rebuttal ended where you're like, I'm out of rebuttal. Let's move on. Or that might have been your
well, what was stupid was I wrote down a lot of things in the like cross examination section, right, and that I could have talked about in my rebuttal. And I just had like I don't know. I just got kind of discombobulated and stuff. So more low blows next time. If I were a viewer, I would probably think that debate was too nice and a little bit too boring. And they talked about Isaiah 46 for a really long time.
Right. So Twitchy, so you're the other side of the debate. If you were to put yourself in the shoes of a neutral party, what would you think about this debate walking away?
So I'm gonna tell you how I feel first, then I'll be the neutral party.
Yes.
My nose feels bloodied and my eye hurts. Okay. Now, admittedly, I am hungry and my sugar's low, so that may be what that is. But man, that it'll take it out of you. That's for sure. Now, as a third party, I think that there were parts where, like, you could tell I had not prepped well enough on dynamic omniscience to where like I could give what I felt like was a super satisfactory rebuttal. Like I didn't prep on those passages. I didn't research all the different omniscience passages and all that. But then I felt like when I pressed in Isaiah 46, we at least came to the conclusion that it's possible. My interpretation is. So, I mean, I don't know. I can't really say what someone else would think.
Yeah, so Warren, you are someone else. You are a third party, but
Yes.
You might have a little bit of biasness in you. And so what was your takeaways from the debate? How did you view this?
I started out before the stream went live. I said the real winner is going to be the friends we made along the way. And that's my concluding comment on the debate as well. I could like Jerry's nice. He uses a little bit of rhetoric every now and then.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Nice. Yeah.
You know who the real winner is? The
Who?
people who get payouts for weird esoteric questions.
Donnie was the winner. Yeah.
Man, the questions, I just was
Those
so frustrated
questions
by the
were-
questions.
Yeah,
I was
they were
like, I
awful.
want to go to sleep. Like, stop asking, like, ask questions about determinism. Like, these questions don't even make sense. Like,
I'm sorry, I just had to do that. Warren, go ahead.
Well, okay, all right, but the real question, and I don't know why Donnie didn't ask this because I gave him a $50 super chat, and I directed this at Drew, and I wanted to know who would win in a fight. Would it be a pug or a chihuahua? And it was completely on topic, and I don't know why my question wasn't answered, and I'm dying to know. No, as a viewer, it was calm. There were a few points. There was one point in the debate where Drew asked a question, and the way that Jerry answered, I was like, "Got him! Here it comes!" And it didn't come, Drew. It didn't come. Like, you were nice, and I was like, "Don't be nice here!" Like, grab
What
him in
was
the
that
headlock and body
point? I
slam
want
and
to
make him
know
tap
that
out.
point. I want to know that point so I can improve. Could you point out that point where you're like expecting the hammer to come down?
If we'll go back and look, because like, and again, like, Drew's being really nice, and you're a nice, likable guy, Jerry. So part of the problem is, it's why one of the reasons I don't want to debate you, because like if I debated, I would have to be the mean guy, and I always try and take the debate where I'm the nice guy. And if there's two nice guys, it's boring, Like, we need somebody to throw the first punch. And I think tonight it was a very kind. I think it was more like a dialogue, really, in many respects. It was like a friendly, civil discussion, and so I think it was edifying. Don't get me wrong; I'm not knocking. I think you guys both had like really good questions. I think there was some stumbles on both sides. I think there was good questions on both sides. Like, it's a debate that's going to happen. You can't prepare for everything, but you guys were nice, and I hated every minute of it.
Yeah, so I saw Twitchy's opening, and I thought it's a put together opening. It makes sense. It's milk toast. This is like what you'd expect from determinist presenting the arguments for determinism. A pretty standard arguments. I didn't see anything novel. Not that that's an insult or anything like that. Drew's arguments were pretty standard themselves. I think you both had good introductions and presenting your positions. Then afterwards, it seemed like there was some area where it's a little bit sketchy, especially in the back and forth when we're talking. Drew gave away things that he probably shouldn't have. I don't think that Isaiah 40 through 48 is talking about the end of all things. I think it was talking to a specific people for an end that they're going to experience within their lifetime to prove what God had declared. So he's giving away things maybe he shouldn't have. Not saying that it's not possible in the text that it's talking about the end of all things, but it's just not probable. Possible and probable are different things. And I kept trying to set up Drew. I was asking questions. I didn't put super chat. That was my mistake. Not being a rich man that Warren McGrew is over here.
You got to come to these streams with the coin
with
to,
the money.
to get your question asked.
I was trying to set them up with questions.
I have a bad habit, I think, of conceding things and just kind of wanting to move on and be like, but even if I concede that doesn't mean determinism, and I wasn't as studied on the context of Isaiah 46 as I wanted to be.
Yeah, so just probably memorize the phrase. It's possible, but not probable, something
Right.
like that. Or
And I
don't
did
see
say that
it
at one stage.
It's possible, but there's nothing in the context that I see that suggests that. Something like that, where the other person is forced to contextualize and make an argument from context. That might be. And then, one thing Drew did, and I thought it was really funny. I was like, it started the cross examination, and Twitchy asked you a question, and he just lets you keep talking for like forever. It's like, Twitchy, cut him off. This is a debate. You want to get an answer. You want to keep moving. He's killing all your time. And so it's like, Twitchy, for your own sake, you gotta keep moving.
Felt the same way because I was trying to ask yes or no questions, and then I wanted to cut him off, but I was like, I feel like that's mean. Like he is answering my question, and this is the problem with debating someone that
you're also a slow speaker, so it really felt to me like you're sucking up all Twitchy's time. Twitchy, did you get any of that?
So like, I felt that too, and I was like, I want to cut. I'm gonna be honest. I'm just not a very good debater, and I'm like, I need to cut him off and like get my time back, but I don't have a follow up question. I'm trying to formulate a follow up dealing with this subject as he's speaking, and I couldn't. And I was like, well, if I move on, then I may just like concede that point. But really,
It's
I
hard for
honestly, I had to
communication.
come up with a couple of pre-prepared questions because I'm not good at thinking on the fly like that.
Oh, I don't think there's anything wrong with having like 30 pre-prepared questions and then paying attention and adding new ones as you go. Like I don't have a problem with like pre-prepared rebuttals to a particular topic, you know, as long as it's relevant to what was raised. Like if you say, Warren, you know, X is the problem, and I have a pre-prepared rebuttal proving X is not the problem, there's nothing wrong with doing. I mean, like William Lane Craig and even James White back in the day, they all the professional debaters do that. So, you know, I would say prepare those questions.
I like very leading questions. So like if we were talking about Jonah, I would probably start with did God do what God said he was going to do? And then I'd let you answer or something like that, whatever you wanted to do. And then I'd turn to the verse that uses that exact phrase and say, does this verse say that God didn't do what he said he was going to do? And then it's like, if you answered no originally, then you recontextualized, and then your attention. Okay, I did political science. That was one of my majors in college. And I go to this big Republican convention in which they teach you how to lead campaigns. And they gave us an example of how to politically reach audiences. And the one example they gave was there was this politician caught in multiple extramarital affairs. And so the person made a mistake of walking up in the middle of a press conference, handing him the list of women who accused of sexual harassment or whatever. And there's like 5 of them. And the guy flips through them all, and then he just dismisses them all. It's like, okay, this is all false. What the political thing to do is you release one of them, you let him deny it, you wait a little bit, you release a second one and let him deny it, then you release a third one and let him deny it. Then he can't just deny it all at once. It's this the effect on the audience is a lot more secure. It's a lot more potent if you get them in this chain of questioning where they have to, if you recontextualize one thing and then you're presented with evidence, you have to recontextualize it. It's much more effective to the audience. So that's what because I'm a mean guy. That's the way I do cross examination. I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I think that I should have brought more texts about the changing of plans and pressed on that and cross-ex.
Yeah, so a general rule for cross-examinations, never ask a question that you don't already know their answer to.
Well, this is the thing. This is the thing that I was saying backstage, Jerry, is when I asked you, would you say if Ephesians 1:11, when it says works, that this means determines? I was like, he's going to say yes to this. And then you didn't. And I was like, freaking heck, man. Like, you cited this passage as a passage for determinism, but you don't believe works means determined. So,
Yeah, that was the part where I was like, I need to be like clearer on that. But admittedly, I'm going to be honest, bro. I knew that you were setting me down a garden path, and I tried to step off of it. So that was kind of a debate tactic.
Yep.
So I
Drew
apologize.
should have pushed and been like, no, I've got your book right here.
Yeah.
Yep. Hold your feet to the fire, man.
So
and then I did step back and be like, well, I'm saying contextually, in light of the context, it means that. But, you know, I was trying to make it, I don't know.
So in terms of debate strategy here, gentlemen, you know, Warren and Chris, if you're doing a cross-examination and things aren't going the way that you want them to, how do you push without asking the same question over and over again?
Well, okay, so pushing the same question over and over again can be effective in certain circumstances. Like when Will Duffy is asking Matt Slick, can God write a new song never before conceived or something? And like he just pretends he doesn't know what the question means and the whole audience understands the question. Pressing on that question to make him ridiculous is a very good thing. But if the question's going nowhere and you're just getting obfuscation, then the James White thing of, okay, I'm fine with that answer, move on to your next point. And before the debate, you have to have more questions than you have time. And so that if you need to just
Yeah, I think that's
jettison,
probably key.
you got to just if you have to jettison something and just keep moving on, that's what you got to do.
And
so
one thing you can do too is, let's say you've got 10 questions that you're really fond of. Reword them twice, because you can actually have categories where you come in and you go, Chris, what's your favorite brand of peanut butter? And you go, I don't understand. And I go, okay, well, out of Jif, Peter Pan, and Jiffy, whatever it is, whatever the 3 brands are, Kroger brand, rank, like you can have like variations on that same question. So if you think your opponent doesn't understand, or they're getting kind of squishy on you, then you can have like 3 variations of it, so it doesn't seem quite as tiresome.
I think Jerry's gotcha moment was me saying, works all things. Yeah, sure, he worked the fall. Because I just wanted to, like, yes, he did that, but how does that entail everything? But then I guess sometimes, like, I'm anticipating him to extend it to everything, so that then I can say, this doesn't say everything. And then that didn't happen. And I was just kind of stuck with, like, having conceded that God determined the fall.
Well, you can do what James White does, and you can then say, well, no, that I meant that in the creaturely sense, and then you can expound on it, like reclaim your time. You see, like, so when James was called on libertarian free will, he's like, yes, and then he saw that, like, where it was, and then he tried to reclaim his time to elaborate and like dig himself out. So if you're expecting an answer, and you've got like the jab, and you're expected to follow it up with an uppercut, but he doesn't move in the way you did, then just reclaim your time and throw the jab, again.
And so Gulfside Ministries says, keep in mind for your closing statement, you can raise it as you review the arguments to press your final point. Okay, so that's one thing about debates is you prime the audience, then you remind the audience, and then in your closing, you re-remind the audience. And so when you're doing something verbal like a speech, well, repetition is actually what counts. And so if you prime your audience for what to expect, and then they encounter it, then you point out that they encountered what you told them to expect, and then close with that, it's very effective. My opponent's going to argue this, and this. This is why this is not true. This is a fallacy here. And then they do it, and you say, hey, I told you he was going to do this. This is a fallacy. And then if you close like that, that's going to really... it's really going to focus their minds on that specific point and really think that other person, they're going to think that you have some sort of like omniscience or something when that happens. And so even if you're starting your debate by just like priming the audience and the thing never happens, it's fine to have primes that don't work out. But one example is when I was in a debate with 2 Arminians, Dane and Dan, and I pointed out that John the Baptist said that God could use innovative strategies to get his plans completed. And then they started pressing us on how can God do X, Y, and Z if he says he's going to do that. That I pointed back to John the Baptist saying God can raise new children from the rocks. And that was a consistent debate, a point, motif that I was able to drive in, that God is innovative. And so their argument kind of fell apart because I had already primed the audience. And then I closed with that as well, that God can innovate in ways that we don't expect. And so that kind of dismantled this whole, I can't conceive of a way God can make this promise come true.
Here's one thing that I've found frustrating about debate so far is kind of like the rules and guidelines. Like, for instance, Jerry, like, I knew you were going to bring up Job 15, but you only brought it up in your rebuttal, which then I couldn't respond to.
You could respond to it. I sent you your response.
No, but I'm saying when he brings it up in his rebuttal, I can't rebut his rebuttal with my rebuttal. I'm supposed to rebut his opening.
But the proper way I put it in the comments is to ask him the question, what does the leading Job scholar, or does the leading Job scholar, David Kleins, think this verse is about determinism? And he's never heard of Twitchy. You've never heard of David Kleins, right?
Neither have I.
Yeah, man. Me and him smoked cigars the other day.
Yeah, I met David Kleins. I went to the Evangelical Theological Society, and they didn't know where to put his speech, so they put it in this like weird foreign language that no one's ever heard of or whatever. And so he had this presentation because he wrote like Hebrew dictionaries. So he has this whole presentation on conjugating verbs in Hebrew, and nobody in the audience, they're all there for this other different language. I'm the only one there for him. And I met him. I got my little photo with him or whatever, but everyone else is like, why is this Hebrew guy talking in this, I don't know, whatever, Sanskrit or whatever. But he's the one who wrote the word biblical commentary on Job, and he doesn't take the verse as fatalism. So if you would have asked Twitchy, if the leading Job scholar, David Kleins, does he think this verse teaches determinism, Twitchy would be like, I don't know who that is. And then the audience would be primed to think that there is serious scholarship that doesn't read this in a deterministic lens. Something like that. That's how I would have done it with the questions, because the question's not actually for Twitchy. The question's for the audience.
Can I?
Yeah.
So I tried to incorporate what you were saying, like predict, and then point it out, and then try to point it out at the end. But I think that I don't know if did it make sense in my conclusion, because I felt like the conclusion was horrible.
That both conclusions didn't seem well structured. I think that could use some work, and that's probably just an experience thing. It's like you have to be able to know how to logically put together, reconstruct the things that have been said in a way that's impactful. And so sometimes it's good to pre-write your conclusion, and then once the debate happens, modify it on the fly, so that you actually have your outline. And maybe you've practiced it a couple times, and then like one debate I was in, I was expecting the guy to be super hostile, so I wrote my conclusion like he was hostile, and it was like I'm fighting. Then I had to jettison it when he was really nice, and it was like, okay, I rewrite it on the fly. But having it pre-written, because in a debate, if you've done your homework, you've predicted the various points, so you should be able to know your conclusion, right?
When I'm writing a rebuttal, I'll write the opening to my rebuttal, and I'll draw back to the arguments that I made in my opening, and then questions that I thought were strong in the cross-sects. Anything that I know I'm going to be able to just have teeth, I'll put that in the opening to my rebuttal. Then I'll leave gaps, like a space here. So while I'm debating Twitchy and we're asking questions, I'm taking notes that he didn't answer this, or that he wavered on that, or he wasn't aware of this, whatever the strengths of my arguments are, I'm making notes of that. And so then I have the closing to my rebuttal. And if I've timed it right, let's say I've got a 5-minute close, well, then I know that I've got 3 minutes to riff. And so during that, if there's not a lot of gaff, then I talk slow and I reiterate the first part of my closing, and then I transition into the last section of it. But if there were a lot of gaffes, I get through my opening quick. I hit those gaffes. I try to hit my opening again to drive that home, and then I hit my close. But that way, I've predicted, I've hit all the points that I wanted the audience to hear. Like you were talking about, repetition is very key. And then also pointing out those areas where my opponent was weak or was even perceived weak. And I'm still learning how to do that, even more effectively. But that's something that I really like to do, is to have that sandwich space there where I can like go in and type notes.
Yeah. So my third-party perspective of the debate is both people presented arguments. Both sides were pretty good. I don't think the debate is going to sway the neutral person. I don't think it's going to change minds, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I think it's good presentation, and it's good to learn about what each side predicts, but I just don't think it's.
Well, I think it was edifying in the sense that
I didn't say it wasn't. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's edifying in the sense you have diverse perspectives that are engaging civilly, and then even in the after show, aren't like trying to dunk on each other, but are engaging civilly, and I think that's admirable. So kudos to both Jerry and Drew for being able to demonstrate that Christian spirit.
It was a nice debate.
Yeah.
I'll turn on Drew's closing for when I need to go to sleep. No.
I'm like by the time it was closing time, I'm just like, man, I'm ready to go to sleep. And then I got this like after show that I'm going to be on to, and I'm just like, all these dumb questions that are coming in. I was just like, can we just not like with practically every question, like the first 5 or 6 questions, Jerry and I were like, what?
It's like
I'm glad I wasn't the only one. I was so confused.
Did they send it to the wrong channel? Maybe they're watching a different live stream.
No, it was yeah. Those questions were fun. One gentleman there, he's a adoptionist, and he's been tagging me a lot lately in his content, and he's got a very difficult structure in which he words his beliefs, but like his visuals on those shorts are so interesting and engaging in the AI that I find myself watching them just because I like his visual style. I'm a very visual guy. I don't necessarily agree with, his adoptionist perspective or the things that he says, but like in his question, I was like, I'm going to decode what he's saying, because sometimes I get my order and the way I phrase things out of whack too. So I was like, is this what you're saying? He's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, that's actually a really good question. But it was worded in such a way to where it was like really hard to comprehend. And I think it's just the way that his mind works and the way that he's framing those. But a lot of the questions were like, is a hot dog a sandwich? And you guys were like, we're debating, does the Bible teach determinism? Like, so yeah, there was some good questions and then some really esoteric, weird stuff.
In the comments, Acts 4:13, Bible College said how tough as it is to get signed up for one of these debates. I want to debate a different topic. Man, Jerry and I are like nobodies. It's so easy. Just like message Donnie. Like, I'm sure you just go to his YouTube page and email him and he'll get you signed up, man.
Yeah, get on Facebook and friend Donnie and send him a message, or get on YouTube.
He was not as responsive as I would have liked on Messenger, but I'm sure that you can get a debate going on his channel.
And if you need tips on how to be uninvited from debating, just let me know.
Yeah, didn't you?
Chris says that he's not nice.
The what one?
Didn't you do the take shots thing every time he does something?
Oh, I did that to CJ. He was so mad. It was so fun. Oh, okay. So
that was Matt Slick. You did that to Matt Slick.
Okay, so there's one where I actually took shots, and so I have a podcast where I take a shot of bourbon every time the guy makes a moralistic fallacy. I must have done like 20 shots. But then I also did the Mack Slick debate, which I was encouraging the audience to do it because that's the thing. It's because Matt Slick is kind of like mentally challenged a little bit. And so he doesn't do well under pressure. And so if he sees the debate start lighting up every time he makes a fallacy, that's just going to just destroy him mentally during the debate. And he's not going to be able to make his points without second guessing the validity of what he's saying, because he's going to be publicly called on it instantly. And so it was the perfect little idea. And they were so mad at me. It was so funny.
Psychological warfare is a component of a good debate.
Well, yes.
That debate
a lot of people say that's like their favorite debate ever. Yeah. And that's what no one likes me. That's fine. Oh, it's so funny. I died. But when I was taking the actual shots for CJ, he's in the comment. He's like, I'm glad this was an excuse for you to get drunk. It's like, you're trying to kill me, dude, with alcohol poisoning. What are you doing to me? Oh, it's so funny. Oh, it's such good times.
Oh, and good news, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of the gospel truth, Marlon has announced that the channel's back. He's going to start uploading and streaming videos again. So if somebody wants to go on Donnie's channel or the gospel truth, you now have at least 2 platforms out there you can go on.
Yeah. So Twitchy, what other debates have you done? Any?
I did one with JP Uncut, and then and that was on the Gospel Truth channel, and then I did one on my channel on Romans 9.
Okay. Who are you debating on Romans 9?
Just a guy named Elephant in the Room. His name's Paul. He's not like super well known or anything. Just a guy I made friends with.
JP, from what I understand, has a huge channel, and
he knows
I watched the bits of the debate between him and Jerry, and it was like, you could tell Jerry was a bit green, as I am very green, but JP was just like not hitting on points of contention. Like, I don't know. I just thought he was pretty like caustic, like kind of unnecessarily caustic. But
Well, he told me he didn't prepare. Like in the pre-show, he told me he didn't even prepare. He was writing his opening statement in the pre-show.
Oh no.
But
Okay,
I
so-
mean, like, you know, and I'm not saying anything bad about JP because that's my dog. But I think that was part of the reason it was like, I don't know what's going on here, is because he had overbooked himself.
I like JP. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a good dude.
So Gulf
He
Sides,
knows everybody. Like,
Gulf Sides. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say he's a good dude. He's really friendly,
Yeah.
very very encouraging, very supportive. You know, obviously we don't see eye to eye on everything, but yeah, I like JP.
Yeah. So Gulf Side says, Chris, I have a question for you. What do you do personally when there are really technical issues at stake? I don't know how deeply you studied classical theism, but it applies here. I wrote a book on Platonism. I literally wrote a book on Platonism. It's called The Hellenization of Christianity, Part 1, The Pre-Christian Era, which goes over Platonism, Neoplatonism, and the incorporation of these conceptions of simplicity and pure actuality and things like that into Christianity. So I think I'm well versed in the technical issues, but technical issues don't. If you're trying to flesh out technical issues in a debate, you're going to lose the audience. They're just going to fall asleep.
this is why, like, Thurston Fan asked about incompatibilism, and I was just like, man, we've not defined this for the audience. They don't know what this is talking about. Like, you know,
Okay.
this is this.
So Israel's debate with Drew Mack. Twitchy, did you watch that debate where Israel Trillo? I don't know his last name.
I did
you
Call
watch
him
watch
Mr.
that
T. Call him Mr. T.
debate.
You missed that debate?
No, I did watch that debate.
Okay. What did you think about his opening?
I couldn't understand it.
Exactly. No one could. Like, he lost the entire audience. He was trying to be overly technical because he thought maybe that would signal. It was like a virtue signal. It would signal his intelligence to the audience, and he could win by just demonstrating that he's smarter than everyone. It just doesn't work though. The audience.
The only reason I understood it at all was because he had given me the argument like a week before, and so like at first I didn't understand it. Then I went back and I had the argument to look at, and I was reading it along with the explanations, and then I could understand what was being said towards the middle of it. And I was trying to in the chat like inform people, hey, this is the argument. This is what's being said.
I only figured out what his argument was in this post debate stream, I think.
Oh, it was so funny. It's like, oh, I was talking to him before the debate. I said, just don't do it. It's a bad idea. You'll lose the whole audience. Like, I was being helpful. It was like, I'm not giving him advice to sabotage him. I'm giving advice to help him, and he didn't take it. But that's why you don't be over technical. And so if you're debating determinism and compatibilism is not very intuitive. And so if someone's arguing that free will can coexist with determinism, you have an uphill battle for the audience. Twitchy, would you agree?
So if you're once you get down to the technical aspects of, well, how does that work? I think it gets difficult, but all I really have to do is I run to Acts 4 and say, look, God predetermined what they did. They were free and responsible, or are you saying that they weren't? And I just stick with what the Bible says, and I don't explain how it works. Now, if you press me on how it works, then it's going to get really, really difficult for me, just to be honest.
Right, because
you guys have any final questions or thoughts or whatever for me?
Before you fall asleep? Before you fall asleep? No. What are your final thoughts before you fall asleep on your post debate? Would you do it again? Is there anything you would change?
I'm gonna stay out of debates for a while, man. It's so much prep, and more than that, just like headspace for me. I do think that I enjoy them just because I learn from them. I don't think that it's really a net gain in terms of for the channel, which is kind of part of the reason why I thought it would be a good idea in terms of like bringing people into the ecosystem and stuff like that. But I don't know. I always learn something new, so I'm thankful for it in that respect. And I hope that everybody, if you know, it's the friends that we made along the way. And And yeah, I don't know. I don't
So-
have
Someone's asking you a question. Why not push back more on Ephesians 1:11 as being only about inheritance, so that the first to believe would be to God's glory?
You know, that would have been a fantastic idea. And I blame it on it being like, you know, probably 11 p.m. by the time all this stuff is coming up. You know, this is the challenge with being always in the future, is like the earliest I can ever do a debate is like bang on 8 p.m. And I actually set it so that it would be at 9 p.m. But because of the time change, it ended up being
Oh.
10 p.m. And so I'm looking at, you know, ending the debate at midnight here. And Donnie comes in like 15, 20 minutes late. Freaking heck, you know. It was his birthday. Happy birthday, Donnie. Sorry.
Oh, cool. I didn't realize that. Happy birthday.
At least I think somebody said it was his birthday. But
yeah, when you're old like us, you need to have like a contractual agreement that debates need to start promptly at 7 and conclude by like 8:45.
well, I can't even do 7 because it's like kid bedtime. Like the kids aren't in bed here until like 8:30. So, anyways,
You can just have them rampaging in the background. That's fine. But
yeah,
all right, we'll let you go to
could do
sleep,
that.
and we'll stay online for a bit.
All right.
Sweet dreams, brother.
Good debate, Jerry, and bless y'all. Good night. Peace out.
It's fine. Have a good one.
All right, so Twitchy, your turn. Is there anything you would care to improve on, or you think you could have done better in the debate that in retrospect?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I could have prepped to debate an open fist and like known.
Did you not know?
Like I should have known, like he's gonna take it here, bro. Like you need to prep for that, and I didn't prep for that at all. I was thinking, here's what I did. I went and listened to Warren's debates, and I prepped as if he was going to use Warren's arguments, and then I listened to the one he used with Israel and was like, oh, well, he's just going to reuse all this, and I prepped for that, where he didn't really mention open theism much, and so like I was not prepped for that at all, and I think it showed.
So you're saying you think you could take me? That's what you're saying.
Watch out, Warren's got 20 pounds on you.
I do not want.
Hey, Jerry and I used to be in the same weight class. All right, Chris. It's not my fault the guy started dieting and exercising. All right.
Well, I'm still at like probably 230.
Well,
how tall are you?
5'11". I'm just stocky, bro. Like I'm not. I ain't that fat anymore.
Oh no, man. You've been slimming, brother. Been slimming.
Hey, y'all need to get y'all one of them shirts. The back says I was predestined to wear this shirt.
Man,
I tend not to wear graphic tees, but
I'm gonna make a shirt that says Westchester Convention, like, and I'm gonna have the guns instead of the 1689. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. So it was an interesting debate. I was thinking about responding at some point to your opening because you throw out a lot of verses, but there's not very much contextualizing the verses to show that the verses mean what you say. And so one of my rules for debate, and if you're doing long form content, it doesn't matter because there's not time restrictions, but one of my rules for debate is like if someone shotgun proof texts you like 50 different verses for their point, you need to prime the audience. You say, if he throws out 50 different verses and we turn to the first one and it doesn't say what he claims it says, you could just dismiss all the rest of them because it's like a mental shorthand. And if you throw out that rule and start using it, the audience sees it. Then you've primed them, you've demonstrated, and then you could repoint to in your conclusion, like, well, we turned to that verse and it didn't quite say what he claimed. Contextually, it says this, and this. And so that would be interesting at some point to go through those verses one by one. And so do you think a contextual analysis of your verses would show that your reading, I'm not saying your readings are prohibited in the verses. They might be probable readings. They might be possible readings, but are they the most probable readings?
There's going to be places, obviously, where a different systematic is going to interpret the verse a different way. obviously, like Leighton says, I think it's a pretty good illustration. We all have lenses. So like if you come to those verses with a Calvinistic lens, you're gonna see what I'm saying. If you come to it with an open theist lens, you may be like, this is like, I don't necessarily see it there. And some of them need to be explained. But what I was wanting to do is set that up so that later those who were more neutral or just interested in learning, period, could go back, pause it, and just look through all those verses. I mean, what I did is I mainly got those from Joel Beake's Systematic Theology, and then I did a word study of the word boule and how it was used, which that's very interesting because of Luke 7. There is a prescriptive, what I would define as a prescriptive use of boule, whereas usually in the New Testament it's more decretive, according to the Calvinistic lens. I know there's other ways of taking that. And then I did a word study on just basically all the passages in all the words in Isaiah, and that's
Yes.
where I derived my systematic.
So it is very effective in a debate to put up a huge list of proof text. And so that's why one needs some sort of system to dismantle that type of shotgun proof texting, and maybe do some of your own shotgun proof texting in return, something like that. And so it was a good visual. You had good visuals. Drew didn't have quite as detailed visuals, and so he didn't know how to run his slides properly, and so he had a lot of dead air. That's one of the things I noticed is like there's a lot of pauses, and when there's those pauses, the person pausing seems unconfident of their own position. And so that was to his detriment. I'm not saying he was confident of his own position. He's just a guy who likes to mentally process. And so he's going to be naturally taking those pauses, but it just doesn't look good to the audience.
Yeah, and I felt bad for him because like if he had told me he was having trouble with that at the beginning, I would have told him what I did. My wife has a Mac. I don't know how you do it on a Windows. Like I prefer Windows, but on the Mac you can actually take one desktop and combine it to the other. So I had a split screen, and that's how I was able to do it.
Yeah, so I like having multiple monitors or multiple computers is safer because then you have different processors.
Not everyone's rich like you, man.
Not right? Everybody has my 7 kids money dollars. Some people live very poor. I don't know. But that's
there's my little one right there.
There you go. You got a little. He's what? Probably 18 months. 18 months. We're still in the counting the months phase. That's good.
Yeah, the 3-year-old's inside, and then there's one inside of the womb there.
That's great. I love babies, and so they're little youths. And you get to watch them grow up, and they have their own thoughts and desires, and so they're extensions of us. Your own children is your own DNA that you see, like in the Bible, like bloodlines are a real thing. And so there wasn't this individualism that America has where it's like, oh, we're all our own people. Like family feuds were a thing because if you harm one family member, you're harming them all because they were interlinked. They are blood related. They're blood relations. They were part of the same tribe. And your children are extensions of you. They're just little yous.
That's why they baptized households.
It's amazing. And so one of the interesting verses I think in the Bible
you're gonna get Rogue mad at you, Twitchy. You better stop that.
Hey, well, did you hear though? I'm not allowed with him anymore.
Well, good, because he's insane.
Like I love him, but like he's basically going against the church and saying water baptism is not for today, period. And like I can't rock with that, bro. Like I don't care if you go against infant baptism, I don't care. But going against baptism as a whole, now you're against the whole church. So that's just one big reason why I just can't do it. Plus, we had issues with how we dealt with people. And Chris, I apologize because I did have preconceptions about you before this, and I was like, I don't, in light of some of the things I'd seen, I was like, I don't think I'm necessarily going to like this guy, but
I'm a terrible guy.
No, Chris grows on you like a fungus, like a flesh-eating bacteria. You can't get rid of him. Once you start hanging out with him, you go, man, I really like this guy.
Yeah, I do. Like, and that's the thing. I don't understand why there's so much beef between different YouTubers. I'm like, we can all get along, even if we disagree on even core issues. Like, there are Mormons who I'm like, these guys aren't even Christians, but I like them. I consider them friends.
They'll pull over and help your stalled car in the rain, and they'll push it all the way to a gas station. Mormons, they tend to be very nice people.
Everybody wants a Mormon neighbor in a time of crisis. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, because they're also all preppers.
That's it.
They're all preppers.
Yeah.
And so I would love Mormon neighbors.
They don't have bug out bags. I mean, they do, but they have bug out garages, bro. They have bug out
probably
pantries.
bug in stuff. If you bug out your house or whatever, it's called bug.
Well, their whole history, they were coming in and preaching their nonsense and getting run out of town on pitchforks. So they had to have everything ready, and it's like part of their religion and their culture. So like if you are down on your luck and you're in a bad spot, you want to have a Mormon neighbor you can go knock on the door and borrow a cup of whatever.
Well, I'm going to hop off here. I'm going to hang out with the family. I've literally spent all day on this. Feel free to critique my arguments. I understand that you see things differently, and so there will probably be some tough critique, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
Well, I thank you so much for coming on the show and giving us your perspective. I think it's valuable. I think the audience enjoys hearing from both debaters, their post-conceptions after the debate, and to see what kind of information they gained from the debate and what their perspective was during the debate and their feelings and what they could have done better. I think that's helpful for everyone. So I do appreciate coming on and being friendly and smoking a cigar. I smoked a cigar not long ago. It was like one of those big thick ones. It just wiped me out. I was like having to go to the bathroom and like
Dude,
almost
I had
throw
a
up.
nicotine pouch in while I'm smoking this.
You're addicted, my friend. But cigars are good. I like cigars. But thank you so much for coming on. We'll let you go.
All right,
If
man.
you haven't,
Good seeing you again, Twitch.
plug
Don't
your
be a
book.
stranger.
Plug your book real quick.
So I haven't published it yet. I'm working on that, but I do have 2 different books that most people could agree on. Though I know Warren wouldn't, because it does have PSA in it and the Great Exchange. But the From Darkness to Light, you can find it on Amazon. From Darkness to Light. Just type in Google From Darkness to Light by Jerry Duckworth, and then this one we all can agree on is called Whatever It Takes. It's just a biblical approach to recovery, basically taking the biblical principles that are laid out and applying them to your life so that you can be freed from the chains of addiction. So please check that out as well.
You didn't say what From Darkness to Light was.
Oh yeah, From Darkness to Light's a gospel booklet. I'm sorry. Thank you for helping me. I've been talking a long time.
Fantastic. And soon available on Amazon.
Yeah, all of those are available on Amazon now. The one on Calvinism, I'm having Sam Frost look at, and a couple of other people, and they're going to tell me, hey, bro, like, you need to fix this wording. You're a bad writer. Just stop something.
They're going to take you to Greenwood. You're not careful. Better be careful.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yep. All right, man. Y'all have a blessed day.
All right. You too.
Take care. Chris, my friend, I have to bail on you as well.
We're all dropping off like flies. This is
got
like a horror
cooking.
movie.
Yeah, I got ribs cooking. I got to go spend time with my kids. I just wanted to come in and hang out with my bros. I appreciate you guys, but I gotta bounce.
All my kids are at swimming lessons. I got no friend. I might have like one kid in the house.
You're gonna go bother him, aren't you? You're gonna be like, it's time, dad time. Let me pick on you.
Let's go do something, kid. Yep. My one child. But all right. Thanks for coming on, and I think is edifying, and I think we had a lot of fun. So
they're good guys. They're both good guys.
Yeah. Any closing remarks or comments about the debaters are gone? You could say any bad thing you want now. They're not going to rewatch this unless they.
Drew is the worst, man. I can't stand that guy. No.
We got Judge Rightly jumping on. He
what's
wants to keep us.
How's it going? How's it going?
It's going well. Have you been listening to this stream?
I have, yes.
And so then Warren's jumping off, and you're like, I got to keep the stream going at
Right.
all costs.
That's it.
Right?
Judges, good seeing you. Chris, good as
Good.
always.
How's it
I
going?
gotta bounce. Peace out. Love you guys. Be safe.
We'll see you, Warren.
All right. All right, Judge, what did you think about the debate?
I didn't watch it. I didn't even have the stream link.
What are you? I posted it in the God is Open Facebook group.
I'm not on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. You're one of those Luddites. I'm surprised you have a cell phone.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
All right. But we're coming to a close. Do you have any comments or anything you want to discuss before we close down?
Not really.
Not really. You just wanted to come say hi. You
Right.
found the link and you were very curious about it, and you just needed to follow wherever it went. It could have sent you somewhere bad.
You posted it in the chat.
Yeah. It could have been a Rickroll for all you knew.
That's fair.
Right. All right. Well, we're going to close down. I thought the debate was decent. I think it's worth responding to and listening. And I think there's a lot of decent takeaways for debate strategies and to how you interact, and even them being both two what seems like very good faith actors, I thought was very important. And so it shows us an example of people doing more of a discussion than a debate, and those are good as well. Not everything has to be contentious, not everything has to be yelling at everyone, and sometimes you can have friends. Someone can have friends. You got friends, Judge Rightly?
I have a couple.
You have a couple. I only have kids. I don't get friends. I just, whenever I'm lonely, I just have another baby, and so
Right.
that works. All right, I'll
Oh.
catch everyone later. Oh, you got something?
One more. So you were mentioning Israel's what was it? His presentation, that one debate with
Yes.
with the stinking 11 points per slide or whatever, like 20 slides. Like, no, don't ever do that.
Don't
It's
you'll
like-
lose your audience.
You lose your audience. That
Concise points, and it has to be intuitive points, and it has to be something
Right.
that people can internalize. And the more points you're able to get out, the better, because if one point doesn't stick, maybe another point's going to stick. And so if all your entire argument is just one point, you're putting all your eggs in one basket. It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea.
right. I was taught in school no more than 7 bullet points, no more than 7 lines per slide. And if you're doing a presentation,
Do not read your slides.
Yeah.
That's another.
exactly.
All right. So if
Yeah.
anyone has any questions and comments about anything that we talked about on this podcast, go ahead and put that below or start a thread on the God is Open Facebook page. Thanks for Judge Rightly for coming. Thanks to all my other guests who are already gone and will never hear my thanks to them. Thanks for listening.